What else? Now, what else? It should not be that simple. There has to be something fun in everything. What we are doing, there has to be a secret boost. There has to be something else. It's not that obvious. No? So I kind of learned that even more when I started to understand more in terms of numbers. No, the 80-20 rules, for example, that 20% of the things bring the 80% of the revenue or the 80% of the goodness. So I'm always obsessed with identifying that 20%, that little thing that will change everything, no?
Welcome to Latinx in Power, a podcast that will share stories of amazing Latinx leaders. Hosted by Thaisa Fernandez, a proud Latina in tech, program, and product manager living in Silicon Valley and sharing her experiences.
Welcome to Latinx in Power. You are one of my inspirations, and I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Thaisa, for organizing this.
Today, I'm going to talk with Gretchen Rodriguez. She has a bachelor's degree in computer science and a master's in international management. She also studied design thinking, UX design, data analytics, and neuroscience, between other things. Gretchen worked for a long time at eBay, and her last role there was senior product manager and product owner. Now, she is a senior product manager at Santander Digital in Palo Alto. So I want to first start asking you, what does it mean to be a Latina for you?
Yes. So for me, being a Latina represents bring a different perspective to the conversation, or bring a different way of working, or bringing a little bit of that less serious moment to the serious things in general, no? But always with a very strong foundation. So, for instance, having the knowledge from the region, having that style and way of working in general that we have in Latin America, when you bring that to the US or other markets, it can be very powerful because you can kind of have an exponential experience. You can bring your own, yourself, etc., but just boost it and complement it even more with all of those formal ways of working and processes that we have here in the US or in other countries. So for me, being Latina is that commitment, no, to create that bridge between the countries, between ways of working, between teams and groups. So that's what I've always done in my career, and that what has helped me to continue growing all the time, keeping that authenticity, myself being super authentic all the time, and being honest with what I believe, with my core belief system, etc., but bring it in the context of business with the Latino power. I think it's just amazing in general.
So I'm curious, this was always something that you had in mind?
Yes, I've always had this mindset of thinking, what else? Now, what else? It should not be that simple. There has to be something fun in everything. What we are doing, there has to be a secret boost. There has to be something else. It's not that obvious. No? So I kind of learned that even more when I started to understand more in terms of numbers. No? The 80-20 rules, for example, that 20% of the things bring the 80% of the revenue or the 80% of the goodness. So I'm always obsessed with identifying that 20%, that little thing that will change everything. No? So that's why I'm always chasing those moments those aha moments where it's just asking different questions or bringing a different perspective can definitely change the conversation or the discussion that is happening in the moment. So I kind of, I feel like that's part of my DNA. I need to always bring a different angle, or probably it's also part of my experience in the sense that I'm a computer science engineer, but I have been developing my career in the business part. So I feel like I can understand both worlds and make those moments of collapsing happening, no? So that's where I feel the magic start, when you are able to have those aha moments when 2 or 3 pieces come together and kind of explode, and you say, okay, this is the 20% that I was looking for. So I've always been very not quiet with accepting the things as they are, maybe because where I come from, etc. But I'm always questioning that little thing, that there has to be something else. There has to be something else. So that keeps me going all the time and push me to the next adventure all the time.
And I love that you mentioned the 80-20 framework. I'm super fan of that. And what are you most proud of?
Well, in my case, I think the biggest thing is definitely speaking a second language. Now, for me, when I started my career, I was, as everybody, thinking that I was going to work in the Deloitte, but more than Deloitte, one of these big four Boston consulting group, McKinsey, etc. I always wanted to, I thought that was going to be my path, but I was always on hold because I was not speaking the language. So one day, and I was pretty mature, we're talking at 30-ish, I said, okay, this is enough. I have to confront myself and get out of this comfort zone where I am, where I don't speak the language. I'm kind of crying in a corner because I'm not working in the place that I want to work. So what is next? So for me, it was, okay, let's start this adventure, going to the US, studying the language and introducing myself in this challenging life that we can live here, in the sense of competitions, etc. Kind of this bubble that we live here that can be stressful, but at the same time helps you to stretch yourself and find those strengths that you didn't know you had. So in my case, I feel very proud because I was about to give up a bunch of times in the journey, but I still kept pushing. So I feel happy because it opened a new world for me where I'm able to connect with other people, still be myself, but just learning how to express the idea and expanding the universe. It's like finding a parallel universe when you suddenly realize that there are a lot of things that you didn't know before. And now, because you speak the language, because you interact with people from different cultures, you are able to understand and be part of it. So for me, that's by far the biggest accomplishment in the professional area. Yeah.
What is the one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
For me, probably that thing is just reinforcing that, again, we were talking about this before, it sounds like a cliche, but having that reinforcement of understanding that everything is possible, that you can learn a new skill in, 6 months, 8 months. I'm not diminishing anything, but you just need a couple of months to learn the theory of the things and some opportunity to practice and to master your skill set. So I wish I had known this before, and I probably have done things in a different way, maybe less based on the fear, like, oh, I probably need to do this, or because, I don't know, it's a way of doing the things versus saying, this is what I want to do, or I'm not afraid of learning a new skill. I'm not afraid of making a transition in my career. It doesn't matter if I'm a doctor and tomorrow I want to be an engineer. I'm fine. I just probably need some years to catch up on that, but it is possible. And I wish I had known that before, having those examples, having less of the belief system that we have, like your father is a doctor, you have to be a doctor, and everybody has to be. So, and that's probably a little bit of what we see in our culture. Sometimes we don't do what we want because we are wired to do things that others want, no? So I wish I had known that freedom from before, less fear and more encouragement to do the crazy things.
I totally agree with you. I think some people, or even society in general, they might have different expectations depending on where you're from, what you study, and we feel stuck. We feel stuck because we don't believe we can do it, and also because we might not see other people like ourselves doing what we want to do. So it's really difficult to break this cycle.
Yes.
How was your process to transition to product management?
Basically, I was doing product management before when I was living in Spain and working in Agile Digital. But of course, it didn't have the fancy term or the fancy connotation that it has today, or the fancy or the clear awareness of the customer in the center and all of these things that we hear today, no? So when I moved to the US, it took me some time to understand what was I doing at that moment and what I wanted to do. So it was a little painful process, but it was very instrumental for me to understand where I wanted to go. So when I was able to understand, okay, what I do and what I want is product management, now I know what are the positions that I can apply. But of course, things in life are always different, as you expect. So, and then I discovered that it's a very competitive ecosystem, no, in terms of product management. and people that do product management. So finding that opportunity took me some time. I'm talking about more than 2 years. I'm talking about 3 years, more or less. But then what I did is like, once I identified where I wanted to go, I prepared myself for all of those years. I was doing marketing at eBay, and it was not the thing that was fulfilling me the most, but I knew it was part of my journey. So what I did was starting to apply some of the agile practices, frameworks, etc., to what I was doing already, to prepare myself, to wire myself to speak the same language. So I was applying all of that in my job at eBay as the marketing organization, and then networking all the time, finding that opportunity internally, externally. But then I realized I was going to be easier to make the transition internally. So there was also that exact moment where the company opened a product position for international expansion. And the person that was going to drive that efforts was the first person that I met in eBay when I expressed I wanted to move to product, etc. So he was kind of a mentor for me at that moment. So the moment that he knew about the opportunity, he immediately reached out and said, there is this, I think your exact role. And I will always be so grateful because he trusted, he knew, he felt that I was prepared for that, even though it's not the case. Sometimes people literally ask you for 5-year experience, etc. So I think it was a mix between being perseverant and what you want, but also finding that person that will open that door for you when you feel that you don't have the power to keep knocking the door. There will always be someone that will open that door for you. So for me, that was the combination, but also the preparation, no? Like incorporating all of the frameworks, way of working, to be prepared, to kind of claim to the world, like, I'm ready for this. What is next? Show me the opportunity. So I think that was my strategy, and I think it worked out. It took some time, but always be determined on what you want to go, and I think that always pays off.
So I have a blog. It's called PM 101, and I share like learnings and advice for other like fellow aspiring like PMs. And I'm curious if you have any advice for someone who is like transitioning to product management.
Yeah, so I think the first one is to be clear on why you want to do it. Like, why is that? Sometimes you see the motivation sometimes come because of financial standpoint. Sometimes it comes because of status. I don't know. In my case, I needed that sense of identity, professional identity. I was all the time asking myself, I wish I were a doctor so I know what I was doing in my life, or a lawyer. It's very clear. In this type of role, you probably need to combine the different pieces and put a strong story around that. So I think the advice is, first, be sure, like, spend time. I don't know, it will probably take you more than you think to write exactly, why do I want to do this? Or what am I passionate about? So finding that is very important. The second is finding those people that can help you to, again, open the doors for you in general, because sometimes opportunities are not even published. So you probably need to be in contact with the companies, people that are willing to give you that opportunity, even though you might not have the experience, etc. So I think that's important. The third one for me, it's exactly what I shared. Like, what else can I do now in the projects that I'm doing to stretch myself and feel confident or feel more comfortable on the terms, speaking the language, learning, for instance, learning Sketch and InVision should be like learning how to talk. It should be mandatory in your mind, for sure. Like, you don't have to be a professional, but being able to express yourself through the tools that I use all the time. So I would say those three are the most important. And the fourth is find that power when you feel you don't have it. Just take a break. If you need to take a break, take it. But be true to yourself. Keep pushing. You will be very close to where you want to go, and closer than yesterday. So that's why it's very important that the first point, be sure on the why. Why do I want this? So that's always the motivation to keep moving. And finding those people that can help you all the time, and people that have gone through the same journey or similar journey. And speaking, say out loud, I want this. out loud to the world, I want this, and say it to everybody. You never know who's going to be that person that can give you the opportunity. And you just need one contact and one person to say, yes, come here and do this, and I'll make it happen. So express what you want. Someone will be in your way to make it happen too.
Great advice. And I like that you started with the why. It's so true. You need only one person. You need someone to open the door. After that door is open, you're going to get it.
Everything. You just say, not even the door, just open the window. I will make it happen. That's what I was saying. I'm like, I'll make it happen. Just give me the chance. So
tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear these questions. Your superpower.
Yes. For me, it's probably the possibility. Again, it's the communication. Going back to the communication. When we think about the projects and everything what we do, again, it's the 80-20. 80% communication, 20% content. If you have the superpower for me is understanding that 20%, but at the same time, streamlining the conversations. Mm-hmm. What can you do? Okay, this is the person that I need to be on my team, to have on my team. This is the person that I need for an approval. Just that superpower. For me, that's a superpower. Identifying your key people in the room that will help you to move forward. Because if you win, they win, and everybody wins. And I think that's a superpower. Finding those horses in the room that can help you to push where you want to go, and being able to identify the 80-20 is super key.
And what is the last skill you learned?
Well, in my case, I started to learn more about everything related to exactly neuroscience, how our brain works, how our mind is wired. And that's something that I've been incorporating more and more. So for instance, all of these frameworks that talk about the cognitive behaviors that we have in ways of working, ways of reading and so on. So I'm learning more and more about that, trying to incorporate some of these frameworks, trying to incorporate everything related to the methodologies in terms of jobs to be done and how to create organizations around that in product where everybody works with a common goal or a common win at the end instead of silos, no? So I'm more into that part. What can I do to leverage the group as a group and win that 80% with the 20% of the tweaking and efforts? That's what I've been doing recently. I'm also trying to incorporate more with other things in terms of meditations, mindfulness, how we actually live, we work, what drives us in one way or the other, what is that fear that we all have that makes us probably hold back toward doing something. And if you kind of go down and put it in the perspective of creating products, it's so powerful because at the end you're talking to people and people have brains and way of thinking. So I think that's the last tweaking part to make good impact. So I'm having a lot of fun with all of that now. Yeah.
And what is your favorite book?
Yes, so I'm now reading The Four. It's a book from the teacher from Yale. I love it. I recently read Do Nothing. It's a book. Celeste is a writer. I recommend it 100%. It breaks all of those myths that we have in terms of we need to work 20 hours per day to be the best. We have to, do this and that to show our value. And she makes an interesting point in a very simple way and helps you to understand what your value is without you having to share to the world that you have to work 10,000 hours to be a valued person. So I recommend it. Do Nothing. Celeste is the name of the author.
I just read this book and I love it too. And the next one in my list is Rest.
Oh, yeah.
And a big surprise.
Well, for me, it was knowing that I was pregnant with the twins. That was a big surprise. But even with that event in my life, I also started to apply Agile principles. I'm always obsessed. Like, what can I do to improve my life with the twins? Like having the the board, organizing the tasks, but not in the obsessed way, but more in the practical way. Even the diapers, like if I put it upside down or not, it would save me time while pulling. So
Interesting.
I'm having a lot of fun with that experiment. But yes, it was a huge surprise, I would say.
And how do you continue to learn in order to stay on top of things within your role?
Yes, so for me, I would say there are two pieces. Now, one is when I decide to, let's say, move to a new area or learn a new skill. And the second one, it's more in terms of trends and what is happening, so I can incorporate to my daily work. So the first one, I check a lot on LinkedIn. I'm always following people that I respect, and their opinions are very important. So you can see kind of what is happening. So that's how I learn about the fintech and all the financial world changing, open banking, banking as a service. I'm like, oh, it sounds pretty interesting. I want to learn more about that. So following people on LinkedIn has been super critical for me. So the other thing is more, okay, now that I'm on my role, what else do I need to know? Let's say it's open banking happening. Let's say banking as a service. What else it's out there? The challengers banks versus the incumbents. What is happening? No. So there are two things that I do all the time. No, the first one is connecting with people in the sector. Hopefully, thanks God, I have some opportunity like with professionals in Forrester, for instance, so I can have the latest based on their opinions. So I do have access to other tools that the company gives me, like CV Insight, which is, for me, I always joke with them. I'm like, you are replacing the Netflix in my life. Like every night is for me the most beautiful moment where I can sit and read about the trends, etc. And I'm not a person that reads a lot or research a lot. I just go to those sources that I feel confident that can help me to bring those points to the table. So if you don't have that, there are other sources like blogs, people from the area that can, from the sector that can share more. But I would say I focus on those two. And also in the bank, as it's so big, I'm able to connect with different countries. So I can understand that what is happening in the US probably will happen in Latin America in the next month or so. So I kind of be prepared, and I can have a better conversation when I go to talk to people in Brazil, for instance. So I can have a more enriched conversation with them and understand what are the specific trends in the countries. So that's how I use it. But most of the time is leveraging the tools that the company gives me and LinkedIn. Those are my two biggest support systems. Yeah.
How is the pandemic affecting your life and work?
Yeah, so it's very funny because when you ask me this, the first thing that I think is like, okay, I literally have to take calls in the morning from my closet, literally. So nobody can hear what is happening around, etc. So, but that's more a joke. I think it has affected in the sense of maybe the willingness of people to be connected, or the schedule changes for them as well. So you have to be a little more flexible. But I think it also has affected in the positive way, because now, as we are all in the same situation, that you have to be online, you have to be available, you probably have to show your house to people, your colleagues that you didn't know before. It has created that sense of empathy and breaking those moments of being so serious and perfect that we all have to show sometimes in the professional environment. But relaxing that has helped in the positive way. So if I overall, it has changed everything, but in both ways, in the positive and less positive. But net, it's been positive in general, stretching myself and helping the team to stretch and work in delivering, which is the most important thing at this point.
What is helping you to cope during this situation?
Yeah, so for me, it's been more managing the schedule in general. No, let's say if I finish, I usually start very early in the morning because I have calls with Europe, so I probably start around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So I know, okay, at least I will be 4 or 5 hours in a very intense way. So I always take a break after that. Okay, let's go walk, or let's take a coffee that I like. I have one of the coffee places that I like just here, or let's just sit down and take one of the. I'm enjoying this platform. Domestica is the name of the platform when you take like design courses, painting, and all of this. So I take maybe an hour, a couple of hours for myself to kind of unplug and restart before going in more executional hours with things that I have to work, etc. So I definitely take that time for this. And the other thing that has helped me is I on Fridays, for instance, I know I finish my day early and I take it for myself again. So what else can I do? And then I jump into research, for instance. What can I share with the team? What I can go back, what I can bring back to the team. For instance, if I work with design, if I work with developers, I love to find those, say, reports or studies or exercises and share with the team. So I take that moment to give back, and I'm enjoying that a lot because people appreciate it. Like, wow, you thought of me when researching this piece, etc. So that sharing moment is also a way for me to cope, and I'm also enjoying that as well.
I love that you also take some time to give back.
Yes.
And what makes you inspired?
Well, in this moment of my life, it sounds also very obvious, but finding a leader with compassion in itself, in himself or herself, a person that really drives a vision. Let's go here, let's do that, but with honesty, right? So that inspires me 100%, 10,000 times. So this is one thing that I'm always searching. Every time that I go or start a new position, I need to find those pillars that can help me to feel more like not only comfortable in the position, but also find that inspiration to keep moving. No, that's one thing. And the second thing that I'm always reading and researching a lot is more about all of these videos that you see in terms of gratitude, in terms of little things that people do that kind of make someone's life different. So that little product that improved, I don't know, as the story with the mask and this device that was expanding the mask and helping the doctors and everybody to have less injuries in the way that we're using the mask all the time. So all of this helps me because I go back again to what we were talking before, the simplicity, but at the same time, the power of the simplicity. So finding those moments that kind of help me reiterate in my vision, but also keeps me inspired on, you don't have to reinvent the world. You don't have to boil the ocean. You just have to find those things that are important to keep moving. So sharing those moments and learning those moments, it's also an important source of inspiration for me. And of course, finding new influencers online, but more people that share, again, the vision of, let's say, business, but also mixed with, I don't know, meditation, mindfulness, etc. Finding those people that can share that vision, it also helps me a lot to keep the hope and keep inspired every day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what should I have asked you, but I didn't?
What is the impact when you move from one industry and the other? How easy is that? How versatile is the skill set that you can have? And based on my experience, I know I've been moving in sectors that are very agile in general, like e-commerce and now fintech. So based on my experience, I think you just need to have a solid skill set and, of course, learn about the sector and the area. If you're in e-commerce, you probably, as a product manager, need to know what are the specific KPIs, who are the players, how much is growing the area, etc. But also, at the same time, I think it's very easy. It's not that it's easy, but it's very feasible. You just need to probably understand more about the sector, applying those thought process, the same that you had your previous experience to the new one, and trying to paraphrase a little more how you will be impacting specifically. If it's more about changing the KPI, if it's more about understanding the customer journey, it's a little different. But besides that, I will not feel any intimidation on changing sectors if you have a strong foundation as a product. We can also talk about that, the power of the analytics. Again, sounds as a cliche. We see a lot of companies, we're data driven. What does it mean as the PM? For real, like, let's sit for a moment. We're a data driven company. Yes, but for you, what does it mean? And I can tell you what it means for me. It means that I start my day understanding my funnel, understanding my numbers. Is there a drop in this page? How many users did I bring yesterday? How many users left because of the churn rate, etc. So as a product manager, I have to be obsessed understanding the numbers and being able to, when someone asks you, right, like, oh, what is this feature? What is the impact? It's pretty important to put a number next to it. I'm always exercising myself with that. When you know the power of your analytics, when you understand where the users are moving, what are your goals, etc., you are able to focus your work. And you are able to say, okay, I'm going to spend this percentage of my time in this, etc. So in general, we see some of the rules that say that you as a product manager should probably invest 40% of your time in features that are related to conversion, right? Let's say that I'm launching a new payment option. I'm opening, PayPal for a platform, etc. So, okay, it's focused on conversion. And 30% probably says you should focus your efforts in acquisition. So maybe I'm launching a new, referral program, or I'm probably launching a coupon feature, etc. 15% says that you should focus on the user happiness, on the user behavior. So this is important to have those parameters, because sometimes we fall in that trap of, okay, I'm doing this because the user will love, the color of my site, will love this, which is great. We love to have this button. It's great, but you should also have the other part of your ecosystem. What else am I spending the time? And then probably a 15% of the rest, you should probably invest in big bets. Let's say that I'm doing a new thing that is quite revolutionary from my users. Great. And if you take that 40% conversion, 30% acquisition, 15% user happiness or user experience, and 15% bets, you see that total is 100%, which means that you should spend 0% in things that are not a priority. So it sounds obvious, but it's very difficult. If you are able to all the time understand your data, understand where you have to focus on, and build that cake, that tart system for you, you are done. You are ready. You can literally conquer the world because you know where you're going and you can tell your story in a different way. So, and again, that's the power of storytelling, but you have to know your data and that conveying in what you spend your time. So I learned that in the tough way, because I'm always like, let's do it. Yes, great. This is one more thing, one checklist. But the reality is that you have to be also very solid on your story and put a number next to it. Everything that you do, put a number next to it.
This is an amazing exercise. Always keep your data in mind. Just not accept the things that are brought to you, even though they sound amazing. Just question it. Not just for work-related things. For example, when sometimes people tell you, oh, some people do that. Like, how many people do that? Yeah. Where did you get this data from?
Yes, without being, the pain, the person just putting the stoppers, but just thinking like, what am I doing here? Who said that? Oh, yes, this feature went really well. Okay, what does it mean? Does it mean that 5 people click, or it means that you brought 10,000 incremental money, for instance? So knowing these terms is very important, because it gives you a huge advantage. So you not only in your organization as a product, but also in the business. So you can talk and share the same thoughts and the same language with the business, convey that to your product. And that's a very healthy cycle that you have to be obsessed with. You have to build that flywheel between understanding the numbers, bringing value, repeat. So I think that's very important.
We are getting to the end. I want to thank you, Gretchen, so much. I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot. So far, we have 3 great learnings. First one, learn the language of the thing you want to do. In instance, if it is English, if it is computer science, engineering, or product management. The second thing, keep your data in mind. Always question the things that are brought to you. And third, everything is possible. Have a plan, have a strategy, and work towards your goal.
Thank you for inviting me, and I can't wait to see what else, because I know you take things seriously. So between these, a blog, etc., you are going to find a huge momentum, I'm sure. I don't have any doubt.
Thank you. That's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. We'll have more interviews with amazing Latinx every first Tuesday of the month. Check our website, latinxempower.com, to hear more. Don't forget to share comments and feedback, always with kindness. See you soon.